call the special meeting of the Municipal Council for Tuesday, June 28th, 2016 order. I ask you please stand and join in the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Again, just a reminder, turn off the phone, silence them. As you all know, that you've interfered with our broadcast to other parts of the city. And this time I would ask Mr. Withers to please read the notice for the special meeting.
Date, June 14th, 2016, to members of the Municipal Council from Frank Cook, Council President. Councilors, by authority of Article 2, Section 2-7C of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter, I hereby call a special meeting of the Municipal Council as follows. Date, Tuesday, June 28, 2016. Time, 7 p.m. Place, Council Chambers. Purpose is to vote on any matters related to fiscal year 2016 and any other matters and any legal matter that may come before the Council. CC Mayor Kevin J. Dumas.
Thank you. So basically what we're going to be doing tonight is will be something like what we do in July and August, with having kind of a, so to speak, a regular meeting and to a certain extent, and mainly committee meetings. So there's a couple of communications. We're going to deal with the communications. I'm then going to be doing a recess so that we can do any of the committee reports. There are various things that need to be voted on before the end of this month is up. And then, so we'll have a chance for the committees to work those all through. Then we'll come back and have the committee reports, and then we adjourn. There's no public hearing scheduled for tonight. There's no, I'm not taking any public input or whatever. For those of you on the Budget Committee, Ms. Hagney did contact me when I was en route here that she has a flat tire, but she's supposed to be here any time. But again, when we break for the committee meetings, I'm sure she'll probably be about the time we get to that committee meeting. Okay? Mm-hmm. So this time we're going to go into a reading of the Mayor's communication.
June 28, 2016. Dear Municipal Councilors, number one, I respectfully request your honorable body to revisit a decision that was made to reduce the position of Constituent Services Administrator in the amount of $50,465.88. Unfortunately, the Municipal Council did not afford me the opportunity to address concerns as it relates to such a reduction prior to the elimination of the position from my office. As I am sure that you are aware, with a limited staff of 3 people, I am tasked with running an organization that totals approximately $141 million for fiscal year 2017, all along while continuing to do more with less. More specifically, the position that has been reduced in my office handles professional matters that range from constituent advocacy to cost savings initiatives for our residents. To be more specific, it is not simply possible to properly explore and vet cost savings initiatives such as the new community electric aggregation program. It is important to note that this program represents approximately $890,000 in annual savings for all National Grid customers living or working in Attleboro each year for the next 2 years. The City of Attleboro is a leading community in the regional effort, and the Constituent Service Administrator worked diligently to negotiate the best program possible in both the Municipal Steering Committee and the Legal Steering Committee. Without the involvement of the Constituent Services Administrator, this program would not have existed, and the annual direct savings of at least $200 for residents and businesses of Attleboro would never have been realized. There are 2 regional planning agencies crafting electric aggregation programs modeled after ours and could possibly all merge into a larger conglomerate. It is crucial that Attleboro continue to have active representation and advocacy while assessing the viability and success of aggregation programs to responsibly participate in regional programs. Nonetheless, the administrative support associated with the current program results in many phone calls, emails, Facebook messages, and letters weekly. The remediation of issues regarding enrollment in public education are the responsibility of the Constituent Services Administrator and need to be addressed. Further, the City will not be able to explore additional cost savings initiatives such as net metering agreements. As you are aware, your honorable body recently approved a 20-year agreement that will reduce general government expenses by approximately $20,000 annually beginning in fiscal year 2017 and would cover 40% of the Constituent Services Administrator salary. The Constituent Services Administrator was most recently talking with 2 additional firms, which could have resulted in further savings for the city. My administration does not have the support staff to consider additional cost savings initiatives with the current reduction of staff in my office as planned. As you may recall, the MBTA has proposed changes to the commuter rail schedule that would have drastically changed the commutability of Attleboro. One of the most vital transportation resources that the city of Attleboro has is the MBTA commuter rail, which allows residents to affordably live in Attleboro and work in metropolitan Boston. After directly hearing from many constituents via social media, email, and direct phone calls, it was realized that the impact on Attleboro would be devastating. The proposed changes would have eliminated the ability to commute from Attleboro to the Longwood medical and academic areas during standard medical field working times. The Constituent Services Administrator continuously educated the public on the issue, advertised public meeting dates, provided vehicles of communication to the Commonwealth for feedback, and attended public forums to advocate for Attleboro. After such advocacy, the proposed schedule was in fact amended, and our rail users, which are students, doctors, nurses, and various professionals, can continue to commute and work affordably in Attleboro. As you can see, this is just one major constituent issue that would not have been successfully navigated if this position did not exist. If this position is not restored, the expediency of the See-Click-Fix program will most certainly falter, as centralized communication will cease and issues will not be properly prioritized, and in some cases miscategorized or left unacknowledged. Lack of trend analysis, along with updating or altering issue categories, will inhibit the functionality of the software, and city departments will be more inconvenienced with less support. To date, over 700 issues have been reported and resolved. However, more importantly, data is being accumulated to more accurately plan tasks and allocate resources, which fosters a more publicly accountable workforce. The Constituent Services Administrator built the current software with the See-Click-Fix prior to launching the application for public use. The way in which the City of Attleboro is utilizing See-Click-Fix is unique due to, the way in which the City of Attleboro is utilizing See-Click-Fix is unique due to the city utilizing See-Click-Fix as a workforce management tool in addition to being a vehicle for residents to communicate issues to the city. In using See-Click-Fix as a workforce management tool, the city and residents are able to publicly participate in infrastructure and asset management. The success of this program requires centralized administration. It would be irresponsible to continue utilizing the See-Click-Fix software without having the administrative personnel in place, and therefore will cease to exist should the current budget cut sustain. When the Constituent Services Administrator position was formed, we were able to increase communication with the public via social media accounts, namely Facebook and Twitter. This tool of communication has many benefits, including sharing information and promoting the City of Attleboro through its successful programs, quality events, and rich history. The Constituent Services Administrator was the sole city employee overseeing the social media accounts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anytime there is an event out of the norm, such as a water main break, the Constituent Services Administrator crafts the message and imagery to alert the public and ensures that the MIS department is informed to update the city website as well. It is important for the city to have an active presence in social media to promote the city and offer a vehicle for communication to the public. An official city account actively managed by the Constituent Services Administrator is the only way to ensure information is reliable, accurate, and delivered to the public in a timely and conspicuous manner through the Mayor's office. Without the direct administrative oversight, the city will be required to disband all social media accounts if the reduction remains. The range of constituent issues that have been attended to have been remarkable. Long-standing issues throughout the city are being addressed. Neighbors with issues, some spanning decades, are finding relief in their various woes. Residents received an increased layer of advocacy with the Constituent Services Administrator, whether it be the Attleboro Housing Authority, City Social Services, state and federal resources. The residents of Attleboro have a partner guiding them through the various government offices and resources. All 3 office staff, the Constituent Services Administrator, Legal Secretary, and Executive Secretary, take ownership of issues in all 24 city departments, including the school department. There is a lack of predictability and varying complexity in departmental issues in which it is their obligation to assist. The team of 3 does a remarkable job in thoroughly addressing any issue they're tasked with, from residents and businesses as well as city departments. They constantly rise to the challenge of troubleshooting and remediating issues spanning every city department, in addition to completing their primary responsibilities, which are answers all incoming calls to the mayor's office, response to matters independently, not requiring the personal attention of the mayor or city solicitor, processes all warrants citywide after received from the auditor's office, processes all purchase orders citywide for expenses over $500 after received from the auditor's office, processes all schedules of invoices payable, reviews all citywide contracts prior to submission to the city solicitor and returns to departments if any irregularities are found, processes all citywide contracts for mayor's approval, oversight of citywide building, maintenance, and grounds, management of citywide telephone landlines and citywide cell phones, procurement of maintenance of citywide elevators, HVAC, sprinkler, fire alarm, acts as a liaison between the city departments and the city solicitor and other outside legal counsel, brings matters to the attention of the mayor and the city solicitor, reviews municipal council minutes for items requiring action by the city solicitor, administers claims filed against the city, including preparing all paperwork, correspondence, and investigative information, prepares updates of the ordinance book and city charter, serves as administrative assistant to the licensing board, and manages liquor licensing citywide, participates in the cable television contract negotiations, administers the citywide insurance policy, may serve on boards or commissions as designated by the mayor, schedule appointments and meetings, prepares various communications, including mayor's communication to municipal council and reports, responsible for departmental and citywide budget accounts totaling over $2 million, monitors telecommunication leases and posting receivables for program, monitors all citywide leases and licenses, oversees accounts payable and prepare payroll for department, oversees building custodian, oversees energy programs and negotiates contracts for supply of electricity and natural gas for the city, oversees the sealer of weights and measures program, responsible for city hall postage meter invoices and supplies, receives and responds to citizen complaints, making referrals as appropriate, fields citizen requests and concerns in a professional manner, researches issues and responds in a timely fashion, coordinates interdepartmental response relating to constituent concerns, answers questions and furnishes information to the general public concerning city policies, rules and regulations, and functions of city departments, acts as point person to provide coordination of services throughout city departments, prepares correspondence to various city officials and the public at large, assists in projects and social service support and community activities, assists the mayor and/or department heads with projects, research, and reports, attends meetings and represents the mayor at functions when assigned, assists with the daily operation of city departments and agencies, manages electronic media communication, manages the C-Click Fix program, manages the Adopt a Spot program, researches policy and legislation, organizes citywide events, performs all other related work as required. Simply put, the expediency and the support capabilities of the office of the mayor will be significantly diminished with a reduction of a position. I firmly believe your honorable body, which, having noble intentions to aid the school department, very much underestimated the demands of the office of the mayor, the growth of the city of Attleboro, the need for support staff in the interest of transparency and accountability to the residents of Attleboro. Therefore, I respectfully request that your honorable body approve a supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 17 of $50,465.88 to account Office of the Mayor's salary. Furthermore, if the above request is not approved, we are required to compensate employees for their earned time at their time of departure. As such, we would owe vacation time in the amount of $1,512.72, as well as compensatory time in the amount of $2,847.81. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $4,360.53 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Office of the Mayor Earned Time Payment. Upon approval, the available balance in the reserve fund for transfer will be $7,987.70. In either case, it requires the use of an emergency measure. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this an emergency measure.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Collector Deborah Macuccio regarding a staff member retiring as of June 30th, 2016. In order to complete the payment of earned time for sick time and vacation time, this office will need additional funding. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $1,937.14 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Collector Earned Time. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer will be $6,050.56. Copies in your packets. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
Sincerely, Kevin J. Dumas, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And there's another communication.
Yes, we do. In a second. The first one is a letter to the Office of the Municipal Council from Joseph P. Harney, 61 Beagle Club Road, Attleboro, Mass., requesting that the Municipal Council reconsider its decision to keep Scott Folan employed in the Mayor's office.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, and a copy to all members, please.
And we also have a petition from Mass Electric for National Grid to extend 5 JO poles beyond existing P12 in a westerly direction on Commerce Way. Also included is a new guy/anchor support pole across from existing P12 Commerce Way. It also adopts the 4-2 duct conduit banks that were installed during road construction and are as specified on the original approved road plans. These facilities will be utilized to supply the new New England Sport Village.
Public Works Committee, please. And Councilor Jackson, this matter requires a public hearing. Would you like to call for public hearing on Tuesday, July 19th?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd love to have a public hearing on July 19th.
So that is the end of the other communication.
Thank you. The motion is in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Hearing will be on July the 19th. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion for a recess so that we can do committee reports. And I'm going to dedicate my chair. Thank you. Motion in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We're in recess at 7:17. We'll then be coming back to committee meetings.
Public Works Committee is canceled for this evening.
Ordinances, elections, legislative matters canceled.
Traffic and Transportation is canceled for tonight.
Public, excuse me, Public Safety Emergency Management has one motion this evening. Is there any other?
I have some. There's others there.
I'll do this one for expediency. Call Public Works Committee to order at 7:18. The docket of June 21st, 2016. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to transfer $1,152.61 from account 12401-000-51100 protective inspection, salary and wages to account 12401-000-524230 protective inspection, maintenance of vehicles, in order to have repairs done to one of the inspector's cars that was involved in a minor accident. Second.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Doesn't take much for $1,000 today in a car accident, so I assume that it's gone through the necessary hands, and this is the way that it's intended to be paid. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Move to adjourn at 7:08. What? That's what, 7:19?
7:19.
7:19.
You can go.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye. Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.
So I'd like to report on the Committee on City Property and Claims at 7:19. We'll call it to order at 7:19. And I have three motions in order. From the docket of July 19th, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept these generous donations to the City of Attleboro. Instruments from the Attleboro High School Instrument Drive, values to be determined, 1 clarinet from Eli Malo, 1 flute from James Cameron, drum harnesses from Tim Maram, 1 flute from Lisa Ramos, 2 clarinets, 1 flute from Peter Shore, 1 mandolin from Christine Avero, 2 clarinets, 1 oboe, 1 alto sax, 1 trombone from Gary Hyman, and 2 cases of paper for Hyman Fine School, and 1.5 cases of paper for Thatcher from an anonymous donor. Okay, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Any concerns, questions?
There's no concerns or questions, but I just, that they did have an instrument turn-in drive to help replace some of the instruments at Attleboro High School and help it filter down through to some of the middle schools as well, so they can turn those in and get some money and
great.
have it go right back.
Okay, good to know.
So if
Any
anyone
other-
at home has any clarinets or flutes or whatever floating
They-
around,
they
save
should
them,
turn-
they'll be doing it again.
Think about doing it. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any against? All right, that motion passes. From the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of 200 manila 3-tab style folders valued at approximately $45 from an anonymous donor as gifts to the City of Attleboro's Veterans Department.
Second?
Okay, again, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, and I think we always appreciate whomever these people are that are donating gifts in this time of financial need, actually. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. That motion passes. From the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of a 30 by 24-inch acrylic painting entitled Stones, painted by artist Peter A. Campbell from an anonymous donor as a gift to the City of Attleboro's Veterans Department.
Second?
Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and if there are no concerns or questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes, and that is all I have for this evening for the Committee on City Property and Claims, and I would like to make a motion to adjourn
Second.
at 7:22. Time adjourned.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Thank you.
Personnel and Human Services is canceled this evening.
I call the Committee on Budget and Appropriations to order at 7:23 p.m. On the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion that the Attleboro Municipal Council adopt the following fiscal year 2017 budget message to the Mayor, Kevin J. Dumas. Fiscal year 2017 budget municipal council message to the mayor. At a special council meeting held on Tuesday, May 21st, 2016, Mayor Kevin J. Dumas submitted the proposed annual budget for the City of Attleboro for the fiscal year 2017, fiscal year 17. The proposed budget reflected a spending plan of $125,552,083.90, a 1.28% increase over the revised fiscal 2016 budget of $1,224,2878.24. The Budget and Appropriations Committee conducted 6 meetings totaling approximately 20 hours to review each department's proposed budget, discuss the budget, and develop an annual budget message. During the meetings with the department heads, the council was able to ask specific questions about the proposed line items, staffing levels, and operational plans for fiscal year 2017. To assist the citizens of Attleboro in their understanding of the budget process, all the meetings were televised live and replayed several times in succeeding days. This was the 10th consecutive year that these meetings were provided courtesy of our local cable access studio, AACS. In addition, this was the second year in which the meetings were streamed live by AACS and available for online review. The budget was posted on the city's website, and all meetings received coverage in the Sun Chronicle. The council thanks AACS, the MIS department, and the Sun Chronicle for their role in providing budgetary information in a timely manner. Public hearings on fiscal year 17 general government, water enterprise, and wastewater enterprise budgets were held in the council chambers on Tuesday, June 21st, 2016. Public hearings on the proposed rate increases in the water and trash fee were held on Tuesday, June 14th. There was no proposed change in the sewer rate in the fiscal year 2017 budget. General comments. Each year, the municipal council reviews the budget to determine if cuts should be made, make suggestions to the administration regarding budget choices and methodology, and in some cases suggest reallocation of funds that were cut. Most budgets from the last 13 years would be described as tight. This means little, quote, fat to cut, and also recognizes that some of the some line items may be underfunded. The fiscal year 17 budget is especially challenging. In fiscal year 2015, Mayor Dumas presented to the council in the upcoming challenge due to the pending retirement of numerous department heads within the next 10 years. As the fiscal year 17 progresses, the council again expects to receive information regarding the transition plan for departments which will be affected by these retirements. The council makes two special acknowledgements on retirements which will occur in fiscal year 2017. Superintendent, nicknamed Sunny Almeida, is concluding 58 years of dedicated service to the Parks and Forestry, Animal Control, and Cape and Park Zoo departments. Having served in numerous capacities within those departments, Building Commissioner Doug Semple is also retiring after 20 years with the Protective Inspection Department and several years of additional services on various boards and commissions. The council further acknowledges and thanks all city employees who will be ending their service with the City of Attleboro in the upcoming year. One of the main challenges of the proposed fiscal 2017 budget involves the large number of layoffs affecting all 24 city departments. We all recognize to continually reevaluate the impact of contractual obligations on the proposed budget and strongly urge all concerned parties to consider non-traditional solutions and further renegotiation of all city contracts. The council also supports the mayor's decision to invoke his right under Chapter 150E, Section 1, to participate and vote as a member of the school committee for collective bargaining purposes. Citywide, the council has been presented with a challenging budget for fiscal year 17 and acknowledge our responsibility and intent in the coming fiscal year to maintain the budget as presented. Clerk. The clerk suggests that when the opportunity presents itself, that the position which has been eliminated be reinstated. Council on Aging. Given the dependency on grants to fund selected positions, the council is concerned about the ability of this department to maintain services if the funding level provided by the grants is either reduced or eliminated. Therefore, the council pledges to more closely examine all grants when they are presented. Education. The council is exceptionally concerned about the crucial layoffs and the impact this has on the school system. We emphasize the need, as a city, to commit to the development of a plan to address the funding of the school system. Therefore, the council expects that the elected and appointed leaders of the city will come together to draft a plan that clearly articulates short, mid, and long-term solutions to ensure adequate funding of the education system. The purpose of this plan is to appropriately fund the educational system to provide the tools for long-term growth. A goal of moving the city into a higher level of financial support of the educational system needs to be established. The council respectfully requests that this plan be developed by the end of the first quarter fiscal year 2017. Election. The council is concerned with the staffing levels within this office, given the reduction in staff, particularly in view of the implementation of the early voting procedure associated with the 2016 presidential election. While the council understands the benefit of the early voting procedure, we, scrivener's error, also recognize that this is yet another example of an unfunded mandate which impacts the city budget. Fire. The council remains concerned about the ongoing systematic problem of overtime funding. This issue has previously been raised by this and preceding councils. Accordingly, the council strongly recommends that the administration and fire chief re-examine the hiring process to ensure adequate staffing with a goal of reducing the use of overtime to provide coverage. The council respectfully requests that the results of these discussions be communicated by the end of the second quarter of fiscal year 2017. Library. The council is cognizant of the fiscal year 2017 proposed budget effect on the accreditation and services of the public library and the possible loss of additional state funding. The council requests the administration to utilize the, quote, shared personnel approach as stated during the department budget meetings as a strategy to deal with staffing shortages not only in the library but throughout all affected departments. Mayor. Given the reductions in staff in various city departments, it is appropriate that everyone should have skin in the game. Municipal Council. The majority of the council demands that the financial analyst position be filled either during the first quarter of fiscal year 17 or by the end of the calendar year. Parks and Forestry. The council is pleased with the operation of Cape and Park Zoo, one of the true gems of the city, and it is grateful in approximately 90% of the operations are funded through the zoo's revolving fund. We appreciate the ongoing efforts of the zoo director and staff to provide the services which have enabled the zoo to remain accredited. Police. The council remains concerned about the ongoing systematic problem of overtime funding. This issue has previously been raised by this and preceding councils. Accordingly, the council strongly recommends that the administration and the police chief re-examine the hiring process to ensure adequate staff with a goal of reducing the use of overtime to provide coverage. The council respectfully requests that the results of these discussions be communicated by the end of the second quarter of fiscal year 2017. Protective inspection. As one of the few income-generating departments, it appears inconsistent that the staff of this office is being reduced simultaneously with the departure at the end of the calendar year of the department head who has 20-plus years of service. While the implementation of a software system is designed to alleviate this problem, the council is concerned about the ability of the one remaining administrative staff member to provide the necessary customer service. Therefore, the council does not support the reduction of the staff of this department, Recreation. The council appreciates the willingness of Recreation Director Dennis Walsh to accept the added responsibilities of overseeing the Parks and Forestry Department. The council looks forward to his feedback and analysis regarding future operations of this department. Conclusion. It is recommended that in the development of future budgets, an emphasis be placed on the value of human capital as evidenced by the retention of municipal employees throughout all departments. It is clear that a continuation of layoffs will have a negative long-term effect on the ability of the city to provide necessary services. Further, the cost associated with unemployment needs further examination relative to its impact on this and future budgets. In addition, further consideration must be given relative to the contractual obligations entered into by all city departments, all of which have had negative impact on the development of the budget and have resulted in layoffs. The council urges a complete and thorough examination of all aspects of the contracts, example, longevity, step increases, impact bargaining, the impact these items have on city financing. The council strongly encourages the administration to implement the new business item introduced during the municipal council meeting on June 21st to establish a collaborative budget efficiency committee, parentheses CBEC, whose mission will be to provide independent perspective and analysis around the city budget. The intended goal of this committee is to increase efficiency and innovation in the budget, with a focus towards increased sustainability and stabilization. Finally, to address the systemic problem associated with the educational system, the council recommends that the mayor enter into a dialogue with adjacent communities to develop a unified, comprehensive position relative to addressing the ongoing deficiencies in the Chapter 70 formula. It is the expectation of the municipal council that this dialogue will result in the development of an action plan, which will then be presented by all area communities to the governor, the general court, and the Senate. The municipal council pledges its support to the mayor in this endeavor.
Second.
Thank you. As we talked about in committee, and then I want to thank Frank for typing those up for me. And any other comments? Peter?
I've got just one comment at this time. On the first page, the Budget and Appropriations Committee starts out, it's down, was able to ask specific questions about proposed line items, staffing levels, and operational plans for FY17. I would like that to read, was given the opportunity to ask questions. As I attended every meeting myself, there was times during this budget hearings that this semicircle was vastly empty. So some of the questions that come up during the budget process and some of the cuts that were made, I don't think that they were truly vented. So to say they were able to ask specific questions.
Would you like to make, you're on the committee, I don't mean to interrupt
Yes.
you, but you're on the committee, are you making, if you would like, you can do what you want as an
They were
amendment.
given the opportunity, the councilors were given the opportunity to ask specific questions about proposed line items, staffing level, and operational plans for FY17.
Second. That's an amendment.
Okay, would you repeat that again, please?
That the council was given the opportunity.
So on the second paragraph? So you would like to, where it says the Budget and Appropriations Committee conducted 6 meetings totaling approximately 20 hours to review each department's proposed budget, discuss the budget, and develop the annual budget message. During these meetings with the department heads, the council was
Given the opportunity to ask just about specific items, specific questions about the proposed line items, staffing levels, and operation plans for FY17.
Okay, any other comments on that? All in favor?
I mean,
Frank?
I just wanted to mention that I had spoken with Ken earlier in the evening, because any of the changes he has to make into the into the final motion. So I'm just going to, once this comes up, I'm going to make the changes, any change in this as we go along, so that we can get the, and then Ken's going to print out the final thing. So if there's any additional things, to give you the time to do it. Just give me a chance to bring it up. That's all I would ask.
I think even just having it to be able, it's kind of the same interchangeably, to be given the opportunity to able to ask questions. The council was able to ask specific questions about the proposed line items. This is only me as a committee member talking. The council was able to ask specific questions. The council was given the opportunity. Any other comments?
I agree with the chair on this one. I understand what you're saying. I just feel that it's the same. I'm fine either way, to be quite honest. It's saying the same thing.
So, any other comments?
No.
Sarah?
I just have one in this that for me,
We're on the amendment.
the,
The
We're
amendment.
still talking about the
So-
original.
oh, this, we're still talking about this,
Yeah, you gotta
okay,
do it.
I'm sorry.
It's parliamentary procedure. It's
I-
like
I
a ladder.
apologize. Yeah, I thought it was done. I thought you
No,
were
it's
saying,
okay.
okay.
That's okay. First, we have to deal with the motion on the floor as amended, and then we go back to the whole.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Okay, motion fails. Okay, now we are on to the main motion without the amendment because it did not pass. So it stays, the council was able to ask specific questions. You can
Okay.
ask your question now,
So,
or make a comment.
So in the general comments, it goes down on paragraph 4, the general comments, one of the main challenges of the proposed fiscal year budget, and it goes on to say about the layoffs and whatnot. And I'm not sure if this is where it belongs, but I think one of the main challenges of the proposed fiscal year budget involved the late delivery of this budget to the municipal council. And I would ask that this council or request that we receive the city budget delivered sometime around May 1st. I think that, a budget is something that everyone knows comes down every year, and it may not be totally specific, and that's why it goes here. You have a chance to question it on and off, but to get it as late as we do, for me, I think should be in here. That makes it almost impossible to do a thorough rendering of it, and I believe that we should be able to get this, and I said this 4 years ago, we should get it on May 1st, and no later, I believe.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because I have a few comments on this myself. I have kept my mouth a little quiet during some of the meetings, and because I'm not a petty person to go back and forth. But it was said that certain meetings were canceled. I had sent a message back in March asking when are we going to have some dialogue, conversation, get the budgets down, start thinking about where we're going. Because as the budget chair, you're trying to maneuver through everybody's schedules, get this going. And then I had scheduled some meetings, even with every department's important, and I had reached out to every department. And some of the departments were insulted that in previous years they were not invited. So I wanted to make sure everybody was invited to come down. So I had started the schedule to start the discussion, which some said, quote, it was a waste of time. I don't feel it was a waste of time. A lot of the questions that we asked the department heads when they came down during these committee meetings were then re-asked later on at a different meeting, multiple times too. And then to say that certain meetings were canceled or rescheduled, the only ones that were rescheduled to cancel, I think, was a Thursday, because we didn't need that, and then we had rearranged. And certain department heads actually asked me to switch them dates also. So to blame somebody or to make little petty comments, I did take very to heart myself, because I did try very hard to accommodate everybody and to get through this process knowing 11 people sit here, differently eclectic views of what is going on, to have a message to go through the budget. And I think I did a pretty darn well good job, and that's why the other night, Councilor Conte made a comment as, oh, you lost control of the meeting, if you don't mind, Ms. Conte. And I said, no, that's what I wanted to show the general public, that this is actually how the council does not agree. I was trying to let free throw discussion out there as we do in the back room. I thought it should be on camera, on televised, and that's why you saw sometimes I'd have to put the gavel down. I thought we could sit here, have a discussion, and then I know Councilor Delicio had a couple things that he started to talk, and he was cut off, and a couple other councilors too. So I tried my best as the budget to get chair to get through this, and I do agree with you on getting it down sooner. Fortunately, you saw the tight budget, the problems with the budget that they were trying to maneuver with the school and the city. I personally agree with you, and I have no apprehensions. I'm one of a committee to put something in there to say that we would like it down sooner, because to be honest, it was a domino effect that came back to here on the council. We had to rush through scheduling to get everything fit in, to make sure, and then what if our budget didn't pass, right? We had to make sure with Frank calling certain meetings, have this particular week here to go through everything, make sure everything passed. So I don't disagree with you, because it was a domino effect that I thought I took a lot of browbeating on. And that's all I have to say. I have no objection to your suggestion. If you have somewhere, I will make an amendment if it passes my committee.
Well, okay, so.
Yeah, I'm
so
giving
you're
you the
okay.
opportunity.
So
yeah.
I guess this is where I think, President Cook, that it would go, if you're going to put it in there, is that there were several challenges in the proposed fiscal year budget, period. One of them was the late delivery, and this council would request that a city budget be delivered to them on May 1st. And then you'd go on to say, the second involves a large number of layoffs affecting all 24 city departments.
Do you want to put it in the conclusion, or do you want to put it in
Wherever people think it most belongs, maybe both, maybe in both areas,
see.
you know, just as a reminder.
Like I said, I don't disagree with
Yeah.
you, because it did cause certain domino
Makes it
effects for the
difficult.
council itself.
I think
So,
it makes
Jay?
it difficult.
If we put that in, I'd like to add the clause when possible. Because as we saw this year, there were different things going on that led, coming in, coming out, whatever the case might be. I think that ideally, we would have it at the beginning of May, but that's not always going to be applicable. It's not always going to be possible. I am in agreement that, you know, the earlier the better, but I don't know if everything we could have gotten it by May 1st.
So may I
Sorry, yes.
respond? So-
Thank you for-
So, yeah, so I would just suggest that even if it couldn't, you know, if it came out, that makes us aware of what the potential was, and then something happens like it did, and, you know, you're working with the budget that you know originally what was happening, so even as you're making cuts or thinking about making cuts or trying to figure out what's going on, you have it. So I don't suggest that this didn't come on, all of a sudden everybody, you know, the budget didn't fit, but I believe that as this municipal council, we should have it on May 1st. It may not be complete because things change, but what if they don't change? Then we still, last time I was on city council, we received it late as well then. I think there is a problem with getting it on time, and it causes us to end up frustrated with each other, and I think that is unfortunate. So I think May 1st is plenty of time. It might not be perfect, but that gives us a chance to discuss it and get to some kind of perfection even within ourselves here, instead of with only like a week or something. Those are my comments.
No, and like I said, I'm not opposed to it, because it did cause a pushback here on the council. Jay?
And I agree, absolutely agree, but we had the department heads when Mr. Lacasse came down, we had to propose. We knew that it wasn't going to be what it was, just given the timing of everything, and there was still pushback on that it wasn't what people wanted. So I guess, are you asking for the hard budget, the final copy, or are you asking for proposed budgets?
I'm asking for the mayor's budget. I'm asking for the administration budget. We see we see some of the budgets that the departments want to bring up, but I think in the long run, just like at all previous administrations, the mayor gets to look at these, and there are cuts that are made then, and we don't have that until very late. That is what I'm saying. And I think that we should have that sooner.
So all I'm asking, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Is May 1st, I think we need it early, I agree with that. Is May 1st realistic? Would May 15th be a little more realistic?
I'd like to say May 1st, and then if we get it May 15th, I'd be saying hallelujah, you know, but May 1st, I'd like to keep it at May 1st, because then I think there's an effort to get it down, but at least then somebody says, it's not going to be ready, I need another week, I need 2 weeks, or something like that. But I think, you know, it's unfair to this municipal council to get it so late. It's not, and it's not a blowback at the administration, because I think it's happened at you know, in other administrations. It's just unfair. It's hard to follow. It's hard to follow and remain civil.
Okay, so I think we basically all agree, it's just the wording, or
Yeah.
we can put May 1st or whenever possible.
No later than the
No,
15th?
no later, something like that.
That's
It's a
good.
fair compromise.
Because it's a,
They're very fair compromise, yeah.
Very fair compliment.
I'm okay with that.
Behind you. No-
Frank?
No ice in
sorry,
back of your head.
It is interesting hearing the discussion and suggesting that this comes down, on May 4th, if it isn't complete. One of the major complaints of a number of the councilors was when we decided to get this a little bit early, right? And the problem's going to be if we're trying to go with a date sometime in mid-May, the budget is not going to be ready by that amount of time. Part of the problem in developing the budget is also getting the revenue expectations for the coming year. The driving force in the budget many times being delayed and coming down, and again, most of the time it is coming down here end of May, the beginning of June, has been the fact that we're waiting many times on a lot of the revenue sources that are coming in. I would say that the idea of adding a date like this into the budget message is actually, I believe it'll violate the city charter. So the city charter makes it very clear that the budget has to come down. The mayor's submission of it has to be following the state statute on that matter. So we cannot be setting an artificial date here on when it should be coming down. Now, I can say, going back a few years ago, I think it was when I was the budget or finance chair, that I was the one that had started the process of trying to start to have some of these meetings with the department heads and the administration. Really was to give us an idea of what the budget was looking like before we actually, had it totally before us, so that we would not be as pressed. Now, part of the reason in terms of saying that we only have like a week or whatever was we have the state sets requirements for when you have to have the public hearing. So obviously we have to wait 2 weeks, from the time we get it before we can actually have the public hearing. We had the budget on May 31st of this year. That's almost a month ago, when it was actually submitted to us. And we started some of the meetings prior to that particular date. So again, I cannot see how we can violate the city charter by adding an artificial date when the charter specifies that the administration has to follow the statute. And to give a timeframe. Thank you.
May I ask you a question, Mr. President? Is there any suggestions on this amendment that you would make, or?
I just think that with a lot of the other things that we have done here, I think that the fact that we acknowledge the fact, the importance of getting the budget, as early as possible is good. We had it on May 31st. There have been years, going back, I think 3 years ago, we got it on June the 5th, for example. So there have been other times, I'll go back and look at all the dates. I remember June 5th was one of the latest that we'd ever gotten it. But again, there are a variety of circumstances that drive it. So I just think that, as part of the main challenges, to answer your question, I think acknowledging the fact that, it would be, going forward, it would be advantageous to get the budget as soon as possible, so then we'll be able to do our due diligence. And again, that's part of the reason we started looking at these things ahead of time.
So do you have a suggestion then, if I may, about the wording, what to put in, where to put it, or just to basically say if we're not going to put
Well, I
a
would say
date?
that, to answer your question, I would say that either in the general comment section, in that paragraph dealing with one of the main challenges, we could enter in there the fact that, we would do the budget on May 31st, or the other area would be under, in the conclusion, urging the administration to submit the budget as soon as possible, as soon as is possible, in order to give the council the time it needs to adequately cut the budget.
So in the general comments, more of the last paragraph, because that's
No,
what's
not
in.
in, I would say, I think we're making a recommendation for the future. I think it should go in the
Correct.
conclusion,
That's what I
personally.
was thinking.
Okay.
Right, and I think it should just be, but I can't see that we're gonna be able to, it's put in an artificial date.
Right. But just to
I
put
think it
in
violates
there,
the charter.
because we all do know it's a recommendation. It is a recommendation. It may we don't know what will happen, but I think most of us are in agreement. Cooper?
Thank you. So a couple of things. First of all, the special meeting was not held Tuesday, May 21st. It was held Tuesday, May
May
31st.
31st. It was May 31st. The day is the Memorial Day. If I said the 21st, I'm sorry. I
You
meant
did
to
in
say
the
31st.
communication?
Because actually it's in the, it's
In the municipal council message to the mayor that was read into the record said May 21st.
Committee, can I do a friendly amendment? Jay, Peter, 31st friendly amendment, thank you.
but it actually says the 31st already in here, I believe, doesn't it?
Mine says the 21st.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Secondly, I think,
That's a script, June 6th, everyone. I'm sorry.
if I may,
Yep.
Madam Chair.
Cooper has the floor here.
Thank you. And I don't think two weeks would have made the difference for us. I think what would have made a difference for us is perhaps some communication around some of the challenges and the delay. And if we were going to have meetings prior to presentation of a full budget, if there were departments that could be scheduled, like Madam Chair, you did, I think that's great. I just think communicating that to the council so that it's not a surprise that at least for me, I only speak for myself, that before the budget was presented, we were talking about city departmental budgets that were 17 proposed with little to no communication as to why that was happening. And then, so I think that, and this is not a criticism of the administration. We all know why it took as long as it did this year to prepare what was presented to us. That's no surprise. It's really just a communication amongst us that this year or any year that the process feels different than what we're accustomed to. If that gets communicated, I don't think there would be any what did you say, snippy comments or whatever you said. I think that people would understand what the changes or challenges were, and if I think that would be beneficial to folks so that we knew what was going on. I went back and watched them, and I don't think that they were necessarily any different. We were looking at what was in Munis. You were looking at what was in Munis versus what was proposed, and I think that was fine to the extent that it got the ball rolling. So I'm not being critical of that. I'm just saying from my perspective, I think some communication would have been helpful to clarify why we were doing something that in the, 6 years I've been here, it had never been done that way before that I could remember. That
Okay.
concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, and I'm not going to go tit for tat with anyone tonight. I am here. I've been trying to get through this whole process, and I do believe I was communicating through as the best of my ability, taking over as the budget chair. And I said when I first started, I'm not Kirby. I'm Shannon Hegney. And going forward, I tried to communicate my best, but thank you for your comments, and I don't take anything personally. Everybody has their own opinions. And as I said, I'm not going to go pettiness and go back and forth with people tonight. Julie?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have to say I agree with Councilor Reynolds. I think one of the difficulties that have been brought forward by a number of our constituents has been that we don't have any timelines. A timeline is a great target. We should put a timeline in there because that's what keeps us on track. If we go before that, if we go after that, what it does is it triggers some discussion as to why certain things are happening. It gives us the opportunity to stay on track. I don't have any problem. Matter of fact, I encourage dates. I've gone in my review of getting prepared for my first time to see the budget. I've gone through different cities, and they have timelines of different things, and I thought that was really great. So I'm an advocate of timelines. I mean, do you have to stick with them? Are you going to stick with them? Probably not, but again, it's a trigger, and so I would say I would support that.
Like I said, I'm not opposed. I actually support this. And then Frank brought up a certain point with putting a date. President Clark?
Actually, I had a suggestion following Mark's comment, which actually ties in, I think, with the one that Sarah's making. One of the things we may want to consider doing next year, and maybe in the years after that, and for that matter, is that we all see the advantage of getting the budget as soon as possible. We all understand that. and I would say, dare say the administration understands that also, right? But Mark's words gave me a thought, which may be something we could include as, in the conclusion, maybe as a second sentence to think about getting the budget early, would be that before the submission of the budget, in other words, sometime in the spring, right, we request the administration to appear before the council and make a presentation about the budget, in other words, what it's starting to look at for the coming year, what are some of the issues that we're having, kind of like an introduction, almost like an introduction to the budget, so that we'll have an idea in terms of some of the challenges, that we're facing this time, or next time around, for example. What are the revenue figures looking like? Again, we're going to be having the quarterly updates. We should be getting that information anyways, but during transition, it's where we lose it. But the idea being that we could have, we could maybe even do it on an off, on an off night, where we just can focus on the budget that's going to be coming down in a matter of a few weeks, and we can see what's going to be forthcoming, and we can just have a chance to discuss it at that point, before we actually have it, before we start seeing hard figures. And again, because as I look at some of the questions that have been asked, I think that might be an appropriate starting point.
I will agree with that, and you heard Barry come when he was at the budget hearings, that we wanted to get him in for his quarterly update was around the time, and then he did apologize for the schedule with everything else going on surrounding that. And he had also said that he's looking to get back down to continue the quarterly updates. So if we can have something in stone and say that we want them to come down, that's why I did make that comment. I did reach out in March to say, hey, what's going on? We need to get going, talking about what's going on with the budget. What are we looking at? So that kind of coincides. I do agree. Sarah?
I think that I do like, what dates. I do like dates, and I like the idea of that happening, because then if it does happen, if they come down and give, maybe we wouldn't have all been totally blindsided by what occurred, and then you're trying to catch up. You're trying to do what you think is right, but you don't have all the numbers in front of you, and you're thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? How do we make it right? And because you don't get any of those numbers, then you have to do the best that you can with what you've been given. And sometimes it's not the full knowledge. So I just think that as much as we can get early in the spring or closest to May 1st is really crucial to this municipal body doing its job properly. That's what I believe, and that's what I would really like to see.
So what do you think, so with the date, mid-March, or what were you thinking?
I think, between April and May,
March, I'm sorry, May.
Yeah, April and May, we start discussions between the administration and this municipal council, that, what is happening, what might go wrong, what might go right,
So I'm looking at 2017 calendar right now, and is there, I know we don't all know our schedules, my work schedule will change after summer again, but we can make it work if we have enough time now. If I'm looking at March, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in March. So we have Wednesday's the 1st of March, 2017. See right here, so we have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, but so we have 1, 2, 3, like 4.5 weeks basically, but here.
But you have 5 Tuesdays, what do we have?
No, we will have 4 Tuesdays.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so 4, but here. So did you want to fit it in on a Wednesday? We can put that, as we said, it's a recommendation, it may never be heard.
So
but if you want a date, I don't mind putting in a date to say we want to have this.
I'm thinking we should just, we might even say between, we can say beginning, that we have 2 meetings or something during the period of April to May.
I'm just trying to be
Administration
inclusive.
and municipal council, and that we have, and when it gets close to that time, we pin the date down. I don't know if it has to be in the budget message, but is that inappropriate?
Again, here's proposed language that I was thinking on from hearing you. This is what I typed. This again would follow the other thing about the budget as soon as possible in the spring. Further, the council suggests that the administration schedule an introductory meeting to the budget, preferably on an off night in the early spring, to discuss the components and issues associated with the proposed budget. Does that meet
I
your?
think that's, I'm good. It's not as great as I want it, but I'll go with it.
Compromise.
It's a compromise, but I
Okay.
mean, it's early spring, which means April, are we talking? Is early spring April or is
I
early
don't know,
spring
I don't know
May?
what spring's coming next year. This
This
usually
is what
comes
I'm
around
pinning you
the-
down, Frank. What are we talking, April or May? I'm saying that this municipal
No, I
council
think
I'm figuring it would
just...
probably be, my guess would be that it would probably be sometime,
March
given
15th.
March, probably sometime
Where
in
the Ides of March.
in April.
Okay,
late
March or April, okay,
How about,
okay.
like, March 15th?
But I wouldn't put
All
a
right,
date in
sounds
because
good.
at this
March
time,
15th.
again, with some of the things you don't know.
Hypothetically, March 15th.
March 15th.
Okay, so the
Julie and
amendment,
I like dates.
okay, so the amendment on the floor to the committee, as Sarah has proposed and Frank had read, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We are amended. That's okay. So back to the main motion as presented. Anything else? Okay, all in favor for the proposed message? Aye. Against? Okay, 3 in favor, motion passes for the message. Let me just,
Shannon, if I may, I'm just going to,
I just want to make sure there's nothing
I'm
else.
going to give this to Ken so we can add it into the motion.
Correct. Okay, thank you. I'd like to adjourn at 8:06 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Calling the Committee on Licenses to order at 8:06. I only have one motion tonight. From the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a new 2016 Class 2 license from Lucky 7 LLC at 141 Pine Street, Attleboro, Mass. for 1 customer parking space and 5 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Parika.
You are welcome.
If you can remember, before the public hearing of the budget, we had a nice gentleman and the landlord come up. He signed a multi-year lease. I believe it was a 5-year lease. I spoke to him. We all spoke to him. He seemed really eager to open his business in Attleboro. I see no reason to object. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3-0. That's all the business I have for tonight. I move to adjourn at 8:07.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.
I can't hold it.
No, I have business. Call Committee on Capital Improvement City Development to order at 8:07. On the docket of June 21st, 2016, I entertain a motion in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to authorize the expenditure of approximately $10,950 received through the Community Development Block Grant for fiscal year 2017 by the Recreation Department, and any future grant amendments to fund youth advocate positions, provide supplies, and assist toward the Attleboro Youth Center field trips. I'd like to note that no match is required by the City of Attleboro. In order for this grant to become effective on July 1st, 2016 for fiscal year 2017, the mayor hereby requests Ronald Body to consider this prior to June 30th. We just made it, 2016.
Second.
Motion is seconded by Cooper, I heard first. Maybe he just has a more caring voice.
My father would disagree.
This is routine, we do it every year. Do you have any questions or comments about the motion? Motion's in order, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. I'd like to remind you and all present that the ARA will be coming to the July 19th, 2016 committee meeting for quarterly update. I have received information that Mr. Correa is preparing a presentation, which may include slides, so I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are as well. I entertain a motion to adjourn the Committee on Capital Improvement City Development.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Cooper. All in favor? Aye. I declare the Committee on Capital Improvement City Development adjourned at 8:09. A 2-minute meeting. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call the Committee on Zoning and Land Use, thank you. At 8:09, my 2 council members are Councilor Jackson and Councilor Cooper. I have one motion to bring forward from the docket of May 3rd, 2016. I entertain a motion to approve the rezoning petition from the Attleboro Redevelopment Authority and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority relative to 0 Olive Street, 101 Olive Street, 105 Olive Street, 116 Olive Street, 0 Wall Street, 15 Wall Street, 8 Wall Street, 28 Wall Street, 0 South Main Street, and 65 South Main Street. Assessors plat numbers 32, assessors lots number 1, number 1A, number 2, number 2A, number 3, number 5, number 5A, number 5B, number 55, number 55A, number 55B, number 55C, number 129A, 129, and 130, to change the current zoning of the property from industrial to transit-oriented development, which is approximately 20 plus or minus acres.
Second.
Okay. And everybody knows that we're needing to get started on this, and a lot of kudos, much kudos to Vice President Denley on his. That was another burning of the oil one night, I think, so thank you so much. So the motion is in order. All in favor?
Aye.
I do have a comment.
Oops, I apologize.
Thank you. This motion and its assignment of a district in Attleboro has really taken the real estate industry by storm. There was an article this week in Bankers and Tradesmen entitled "All Signs Point to Transit-Oriented Development." Subtitled "State's Crumbling Infrastructure Doesn't Allow Easy Commutes" by Scott Van der Voorhis, who was a Banker and Tradesman's columnist. There's one thing in here that I thought was very interesting that I'd like you and the public to understand, is that the amount of vacant office space and lab space within 15 minutes of a train or subway station in Boston area is at a super low 7.4% vacancy rate. That is astronomical in the trade. According to a new report out by Encompass Real Estate Strategy, Inc., by contrast, the vacancy rate in corporate suites and labs beyond that 15-minute radius is nearly double that, weighing in at 13.8. So what's happening, this article says what's happening is that the millennials who are faced with student debt and have a different perspective on things than the generations before them, are faced with commutes on the highways that are worse than any prior generation, and that developers have jumped on the bandwagon. So in the Boston area, they're moving office spaces and lab areas toward the commuter rail station. And this, of course, is the other side of that this transit-oriented development space in Attleboro is meant to complement that. There was one item that has occurred to me that I'm very concerned about, is that you know that as chairman of the Capital Improvement City Development, that I've been concerned about, as we develop things, that we create some kind of lasting method that would perpetuate the care of it for future generations. And in this case, for the transit-oriented development, that's called a fee of when they develop it. And the concept is that anyone who develops land inside a transit-oriented development, or anyone who owns land inside a transit-oriented development, is assigned a fee, a tax that's very specific to that specific area where they're living. A very, 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 very small fee that goes into a reserve account to take care of the trees, the park benches, the sidewalks, the roadways, the lighting, the proxemics around the buildings that they're developing and around the buildings that they live in, because they're likely to only own the space inside the building that they live. They have no ownership of what's outside of the building. So I called City Solicitor Bob Mangiarotti, expressed my interest. I had written a piece of new business for the council, and wisely decided to consult with him first on this fee. And he said that there are two measures in the State House right now that are being discussed that may actually pass and be measures by the time this becomes enacted. And that the decisions that the state legislature makes about these fees has a bearing on what we might be able to do in the city. So I set a meeting, and you're all invited to join the meeting with Bob Mangiarotti on July 22nd at 12:30 in the afternoon up in his office. We'll have it in the mayor's conference room or maybe down here if there's a lot of people, to discuss what I'm proposing for new business to the council, that the transit-oriented district have a specific fee that would take care of the capital improvements surrounding their proxemics. And that concludes the comments that I have to make to your committee. I thought it best to bring it out during the committee than during the council, because I thought you might have some comments.
I appreciate your comments.
You're welcome.
Very, very, very valuable. Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Hall. I hope that the importance of this is not overshadowed by what's going on tonight, because so many people in this audience around this horseshoe have worked really hard for years, including yourself, Ms. Hall, to get to this position. Mr. Rajan, the ARA, Stephanie Davies, the administration, the planning board, all the counselors. This was a feat. We were in that room right there, I think until 12:30 or 1 in the morning, a joint session of the planning board and the city council, and we pounded this out. And we really got good language in there, and we had a lot of negotiations. There's a lot of give and take. This is something where no one agreed 100%, but we all agreed 90%. So I see this as doing two things. This is forward-looking. This is helping to build a tax base that doesn't already exist in the city, a dense tax base combined with commercial and residential use. And it's also going to help develop our downtown, because just because the TOD's here doesn't mean that development's not going to branch out block by block because of the demands of the people who are living in the transit-oriented development. So kudos to you, Ms. Hall, kudos to everyone involved. This is a very important moment, and it will get my full throttled support tonight. And I just want to say that during committee, so I don't take forever tonight. But this is a great thing that's happening, and I'm very supportive of it.
Thank you. I agree. Yes, Mr. Councilor Cooper?
Thank you. I agree with both councilors' comments. I think my question, if I may, to Councilor Conti is, do you intend to post that meeting so that we don't want to get into a problem? So if you could post it, then I would attend, because Councilor Hall and I...
We have to post it if more than 3 councils attend, right?
Thank you. Any other comments from any of the councilors? I agree with all the comments that were made here tonight. This is a huge, huge step for Attleboro. So thank you, everybody that worked on it. And Mr. Vice President Denley, thank you for making sure that the people were recognized that participated. I appreciate that, because there are other folks besides the council that was there, and I appreciate that. So, where am I? Do I have a vote on the table already? Yes? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, did I get a second? I did. Okay, thank you. So that, other than a couple of meetings... Yes, okay, thank you. The motion passes. Thank you. We do have a couple of things that, for a meeting that's coming up in the docket of June 21st, 2016. I just want to remind everybody that there will be a rezoning petition from the City of Attleboro's Planning Board to amend Section 17-2.1.3 and 17-3.4. And basically, what you're doing is, this goes along with, if I'm not mistaken, the medical mile and some of the activities that the ARA has been doing. So anyways, there will be a public hearing on this scheduled for,
July 19th.
What is it?
July 19th.
July 19th. Thank you. Thank you so much.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, at 7 p.m. Any other business before us? No. Okay, then can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we're going to adjourn the 8:18. Committee on Zoning and Land Use at 8:18. Thank you.
That concludes all the community reports, I believe. We're just waiting. Why don't we stretch our legs or whatever? I'm just waiting for motion to be signed so that we can conclude and move forward.
Frank,
Yes.
could I just ask you one thing?
Sure. the special meeting of the municipal council back to order at 8:29. We'll proceed with committee reports, beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Reporting for ordinances, elections, legislative matters. There is no business tonight, but I would call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor, Councilor Hall.
Yes, for the Zoning and Land Use Committee, I have one motion
Okay.
from the docket of May 3rd, 2016. I move to approve the rezoning petition from Attleboro Redevelopment Authority and Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority relative to 0 Olive Street, 101 Olive Street, 105 Olive Street, 116 Olive Street, 0 Wall Street, 15 Wall Street, 8 Wall Street, 28 Wall Street, 0 South Main Street, and 65 South Main Street. Assessors plat numbers 32, assessors lot numbers number 1, number 1A, number 2, 2A, 3, 5, 5A, 5B, 55, 55A, 55B, 55C, number 129A, number 129, and 130 to change the current zoning of the property from industrial to transit-oriented development, approximately 20 plus or minus acres.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, we just went through how important this was and a historical moment for Attleboro if it passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Councilor Conti.
Yes, Mr. President, I will be supporting this measure because I plan on examining to the fullest extent impact fees for the transit-oriented district. And it is only through that measure that I would put forth this support, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a roll call vote and also requires a 2/3 vote for passage. The vote will begin with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hull.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. And that concludes my business for zoning and land use, and I call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Reporting for the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee from the docket of June 21st, 2016, I move in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to authorize the expenditure of approximately $10,900 received through the Community Development Block Grant for fiscal year 2017 by the Recreation Department and any future grant amendments to fund youth advocate positions, provide supplies, and assist towards Attleboro Youth Center field trips.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, Mr. President.
Does anyone have any additional comments or concerns? Hearing none, with a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yeah.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hull.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
That concludes the business the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to meeting next year.
Thanks, fiscal. Councilor Parika, please.
Thank you very much, President Cook. There's no business in front of the Committee of Transportation and Traffic, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor, Vice President Denley.
Thank you, President Cook. Reporting for the Committee on Licenses. I have one motion tonight from the docket of June 21st, 2016. I move to approve the application for new 2016 Class 2 license from Lucky 7 LLC, 141 Pine Street, Attleboro, Mass. for 1 customer parking space and 5 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Do you have any comments?
No, sir.
Does anybody have any comments or concerns? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, President Cook. That's all the business I have for the Committee on Licenses tonight. I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Hagan.
Thank you. Yes. I'm just making sure, because with revisions, I've had 5 different, I'm going to make sure I have all the emergency. Okay. Reporting for budget and appropriations from the docket of July 19th, 2016. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. The Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the mayor's request to approve a supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 17 of $50,465.88 to account 112-11000-511000, Office of the Mayor's Salary. Due to the time constraints involved, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter. Because if the above request is not approved, we are required to compensate employees for their earned time. And at the end of the departure, as such, we would owe vacation time in the amount of $1,512.72, as well as compensatory time in the amount of $2,847.81.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
This is just to adopt the emergency preamble. Next, we'll have the emergency measure itself if it passes to have the emergency preamble. So I will hold my comments to the measure itself, which when it comes to the main motion, not the emergency preamble.
Okay. Any other concerns or comments? Councilor Denley.
Thank you, President Cook.
You're welcome.
So this is a question on whether or not this measure is an emergency. And to my fellow counselors, I say, just say no. This is not an emergency. They need this appropriation. They can bring it down through normal course of business. Say no. This is not an emergency measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a roll call vote. And again, this is just on the emergency preamble, and this requires a 2/3 vote for passage. Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Delicio.
It should be, you're right. Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
No.
Mrs. Parika.
No.
Vice President Denley.
No.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
No.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
That is 7 yeas, 4 nays.
That is not 2/3.
Nope.
Okay, so the motion fails. So 7-4. Okay, hold on. So that it failed to achieve the required 2/3. 7-4. Okay. Hold on a second. Just want to get my vote straight. Okay. All right. Counselor?
Okay, so that failed, so we don't move on to the emergency measure itself.
No.
Or do-
Right, not for that one. Right, for that one. But there were, on communication, there was the other item.
Correct, but what I'm saying is, so that's null and void, and just go into
Right, so
the
now-
budget message.
No, now it's the other one.
It's the other one.
It's the other, then it's another emergency. If that is not approved, reading from the mayor's communication, if the above request is not approved, which is what just now happened, we are required to compensate employees for their earned time at their time of departure. As such, we would owe vacation time in the amount of $1,512.72, as well as compensatory time in the amount of $2,847.81. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $4,360.53 from account citywide reserve fund for transfer to account Office of the Mayor earned time payment.
And why would-
That requires an emergency measure, so it's one or the other.
Point of order,
Yeah.
that's why we're having communication, I didn't receive that particular motion. That's the only one I had was the emergency, and then this one.
Right, it's one or the other, so the communication made it quite close. So if the first one, the first part of that, which is appropriate to read that one, Council, it would be appropriate to read that one first. That having failed, now we go on to the emergency preamble on the second half of that item, which is to transfer the $4,000 plus dollars, okay?
Correct.
So if you don't have that one, Ken, are you typing, are you preparing that?
Coming out.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So if you want to,
I will go on
You wanna go on to the
to
budget message?
the other budget message, so we don't waste time.
yeah,
Would you like to have the other individual from the clerk's office?
the city collector's office, could you move on that for the emergency measure?
I don't have that.
It's
Point of order.
it's in Mark Cooper's committee, I think.
That's for the city collector.
Point of order, I don't have that.
And it's on that committee.
My
That was
apologies.
assigned to
Sorry.
Personnel and Human Services.
Thank you.
This one went to budget appropriations because it was connected with the budget.
Sure, thank you.
Okay,
So, you're back.
thank you. Motion is, I move that the Attleboro Municipal Council adopts the following fiscal year 2017 budget message to Mayor Kevin J. Dumas, waive the reading as amended in committee.
Second.
Thank you, the motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
Yes, even though everyone doesn't agree, we've tried to come to a compromise so everybody does have something in there to say. Not everyone will agree, there's 11 people, just as everything else in life, we just try to compromise as we did together tonight with Sarah, is even in the committee, we try to make an amendment to then have communication. So thank you for everybody for their dialogue and input. It was a little contentious evening, but we got through it and we have a message, and maybe not everyone agrees, but I think we did the best that we could do. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor Jackson?
Thank you. I'd like to offer up an amendment on the third page under mayor. I'd like to eliminate that whole sentence, please.
Second, oh, are you making a motion? I'll second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Motion's in order. All right, comments, please?
I just don't like it. It's kind of nasty, so it just doesn't come across right. I don't think professional at all.
Any other concerns or comments? Again, this is just on the proposed amendment. Councilor Cooper? No,
I-
Councilor Hagan, Councilor Cooper?
Thank you. I feel the same way. I think if we had something to say about it, it could have been said differently, and I didn't bring it up in committee because I probably said too much then. So thank you to Councilor Jackson for bringing this out, but I completely agree with striking the sentence from the communication about the budget message. Thank you.
Councilor Hagan?
Thank you.
And then Councilor Parika?
I'm agreeing with Councilor Cooper, and as I said, during committee, and I had already discussed to say I would have amended it, but I think he's appropriate in saying that I didn't want to say too much either in committee, so I will support this motion also.
Thank you. Is it all right, Councilor Blair?
I will also be supporting this amendment. I don't know about supporting the whole thing, but I'll support Katie in this. I think it was inappropriate, unneeded, in a direct shot. It doesn't belong on the floor.
Councilor Delacio?
I as well will be supporting this. I think it's already been belabored, but I'll be supporting this.
Any other concerns or comments? Councilor Reynolds?
I mean, if there's people that think it should stay in there, should you, can you amend it to be more user-friendly or?
Well, at the moment, the motion before us is to amend it.
Okay.
So we'll deal with that one first, and then,
Okay.
yeah.
Motion to strike it.
Right, the motion is to strike it at this point.
Strike.
We'll delete
Take it totally out of there, yeah, okay.
Okay, hold the time. Okay, thank you. Any other concerns or comments on this one? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to have a roll call vote. This is to delete. So yes is to delete that one section. A no vote is to leave it in. And this will be a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Hegney,
Yes.
Vice President Denley,
No.
Mrs. Parika,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Delacio,
Yes.
President Cook,
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
The motion passes, so that part is deleted. All right. So back to the budget message itself. Any additional comments, Councilor Conti?
Yes, Mr. President, I wish to make an amendment to the message.
Okay.
Under municipal council, which there's a statement of one sentence, I'd like to add another sentence to read. During the interim, if you all want to catch up, I'm under municipal council.
It's right below the mayor one, by the way, if you have a copy of that in front of you. excuse me, just a
So
second.
currently, the
If I may just, hold on a second. I just want to make sure. Mr. Owens, Ken, you're keeping track of these?
I'm trying.
Okay, fine. If there's an issue, because I want to make sure that we get these into the final budget message that's going to be going into that we have. If you're not sure any time on the wording, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Council Con.
So the segment currently reads, Municipal Council. The majority of the council demands that the financial analyst position be filled either during the first quarter of fiscal year 17 or by the end of the calendar year. And I wish to add another sentence. My motion is to add another sentence. The sentence reads, during the interim, the council shall utilize the city auditor in conformance with the city charter, section 2-8, parentheses A.
Second?
So I'll reread that to make sure you have it.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Would you please read it?
Yeah. During the interim, the council shall utilize
Shall utilize? Okay.
the city auditor in conformance with the city charter, section 2-8, paragraph A.
Section, could you give me the section again, please?
2-8, paragraph
Paragraph what?
A.
Oh,
Small letter A as in apple.
Okay. Okay. Any other motions in order? Any comments, please?
Yes, I'll explain. On page 9 of our charter, section 2-8 defines the city auditor, the clerk of the council, other staff salaries. And it reads, A, the city auditor, as soon as practical after the municipal council has been organized, it shall elect by a roll call vote a city auditor to hold the office for the term of 2 years and until his successor is qualified. The city auditor shall keep and have charge of the accounts of the city. He shall regularly audit the books and the accounts of all city agencies and shall have such powers and perform such other duties as the municipal council may prescribe, in addition to such duties as may be prescribed by law. The city auditor shall be subject to the call of the mayor, for consultation, conference, and discussion on any matter which relates to his office. So, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President,
Thank you for the motion.
sometimes it's confusing. I found this through some help and found a nice little loophole in here where we can use a very, very capable financial mind in our budget issues while we are sorting out how we're going to handle the financial advisor. While it places perhaps a slight more scope of work on the city auditors, it's one that's covered by the city charter and allowed by our laws. And I do think that all of us have been free to call Ms. Deb Gould whenever we had questions, and she's been always so very thorough in her answers, and I've thrown her some Lulus. So I see this as a wonderful interim measure, and I think that we should, I agree with the council, we should not be without a financial advisor any longer. And that concludes my comments.
Okay, any other concerns or comments? All right, going down, Councilor Haney, then Councilor Cooper, Councilor Jackson, did you have your hand up? No, I'm sorry. I saw your hand like that, I couldn't tell. And then Councilor Blair. So Councilor Haney.
Thank you. I don't mind supporting this because I've been bringing her down numerous times, and she hasn't been opposed to coming to explain, because she does have that in-depth knowledge that sometimes, or all the time, I wanted to make sure any questions were answered fully and not have to say, I'll get back to you. So I wouldn't oppose that, because she is more than likely to say, if it even puts a time constraint on her, that I've asked her straight out who hires you, and she said the municipal council. So I'm not opposed to it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cooper.
Thank you. So I guess I'm wondering, I don't see the connection between the two. I see we have an auditor already. We appointed her months ago. And so what roles and responsibilities are you suggesting of the financial analyst that aren't in here that she would provide value on that we wouldn't just go ask her anyway.
If I may.
If you may, through the chair.
I was looking for a way to not make this section so dire that, the reading reads that the majority of council demands. And I found that and then to say filled either during the first quarter fiscal year or by the end of the calendar year, it's an ultimatum. And we should not be in that position as a body. And so I do think that, this states to the mayor, to the public, to people in the future who might go back to read this message, that the council stated that we have a want, and until we get what we want, this is what we're going to do. We're going to utilize the city auditor during the interim, as the city charter allows us to. It's just a way of softening, I think, the message, and I think to underscore the ability of the councilors to access the auditor's office, because frankly, she's always been very willing and very cooperative, and I'm sure she will continue to be. And I hope that answers your question.
Councilor Cooper, you all set?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Blair?
Well, I won't be supporting this, Mr. Conti. I think that Deb comes down when we have a technical question about a payment or state law that we don't understand. But I agree we need to find financial analyst that's independent of City Hall, right, that can give us his input when he looks into the budget matters. I don't disagree with you. We got a talented lady up there, very talented, and she's been very helpful. I think all of us have probably stopped in her office and asked her a question, and you've got an answer. But if you're looking for a financial analyst, I think Mr. Cooper and I are looking at the same thing. I don't see the connection between the audit and the analyst.
You all set? Thank you. Councilor Delizio, then Councilor Hall, and then Councilor Parika.
Thank you. I understand about the softening. I'm not 100% comfortable with the demand, but I would support softening of it to your amendment, Mr. Conti, as opposed to putting extra burden upon the auditor without having that discussion with her. I would be open to softening by using verbiage such as the council will utilize all available resources, something that doesn't necessarily say we're adding more to the auditor's plate, but I do understand where you're coming from on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hall?
I like the fact that to name names, to put dates on, to have some very clear and specific sort of backup plans than just to leave things open. So I very much appreciate what Mr. Conti has brought forward, and I think it was a great idea. I do also agree with Councilor Delizio that perhaps we need to soften that a little bit if we do, and that I am also concerned about bringing somebody's name in without saying if that's a viable option too. But before we do it, but again, I like the way you think, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parika?
Thank you very much. I'll support this. I think that it's a role that Deb's already accustomed to. I've seen all of us in her seats at one point or another delivering coffee. I've bumped into you, Julie, there many times. And I don't necessarily think that this adds a burden to her. And it actually, in my mind, almost seems like almost streamlining the process so that she can talk to all of us at the same time as opposed to 11 people individually. So I think that might be kind of helpful. And again, it is a hard message. And I support the hard message that we need that financial analyst. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're looking into the future when someone looks back at this and reads this, that someone reads this and says, well, they were left to their own defenses or their own devices for too long. I like how you put that in there and said, well, this is already part of, our charter. This is what we can utilize her for. This is what we will utilize her for. And she does work for us. So then if we change what her job description is, which we're not changing what her job description is, we're just highlighting a certain portion of it. So you have my support.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or comments? Council Hall?
Just one last one. Yeah, interesting. That's why I love what goes on here. And the other thing that popped in my mind is this is an interim. In this particular case here, it's an interim sort of gets us over a certain period of time. And again, I do agree with Councilor Parecka. It gives us an opportunity to actually resolve our own issue. What a wonderful thing, if you would. So I will be supporting this. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Okay. So again, this vote will be to add Ms. Condi's amendment, which basically, which says as follows: during the interim, the council shall utilize the city auditor in conformance with the city charter, section 2-8A. A yes vote is to add it, a no vote is to not add it. We'll have a roll call vote, and the vote will begin with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio?
No.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Vice President Denley?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
No.
Mr. Blair?
No.
President Cook?
Yes. 8
yeas, 3 nays.
The motion passes. Okay, hold on. I just wanna make sure I have that. Okay, so can you have that one?
Yep.
Okay, hold on one second. I just want to add it in here. Okay. Any other concerns on this item?
On this item.
No, on the message.
On the message. I would like to go back to the thing about the mayor. I'd like to go back to that, because as I think this over, and I agree with Kate that it was, I actually think I said it. You know, I actually think I said it. And meaning that we should come up with something that means that everybody feels the effects, which is really what I'm thinking. So it is slang, and I almost died when I saw it in there, because I don't think it's appropriate to be in the message. But I think that we can say, yeah, I think I said this when this happened, that I didn't think that what was coming out of the mayor's department should have been pinned down to a one person. We were asking for the money to come out. Somehow it came out, names came out, and I don't think that should happen, but, you know, that's already happened. But we also have on the clerk side, that when the opportunity presents itself, that we'd like to see that the position be reinstated. And I don't know if we've eliminated this from the budget line. I don't believe we're doing that. I think that the position is still there, but what I'm saying is that I don't think it would be I don't think, for me, myself, is that if the money becomes available if the current finances improve in any way that makes it possible, that position could be relooked at. I don't think that we're saying that the money's on here right now. We think that they're better used somewhere else. But if that money, somehow something changes and that money's available, I believe that position should remain there as something that's a possibility when the time is needed. I know, Mr. Conti, you felt that we should do all of those jobs, and I do think that we should do more of those jobs. Quite frankly, I looked at the job description and I thought, oh my goodness, you should get double that position if you're doing all those things. You know, it's almost ridiculous, the numbers. So I'm just saying that I think the line item, if the money ever shows up, I would not have a problem amending that and putting that in that particular section. Does that make sense to my colleagues, what I'm trying to say anyway?
Councilor Delicio and then Councilor Blair.
Yeah, we had the opportunity tonight to vote on the emergency measure. I understand what you're saying. I was pretty adamant about my support of the position. I want to stress it's the position. Last week, I'm still adamant. I think that it's a vital position to where the city's going. I think that a message was sent. I think people know where people stand on that issue. I think we had the opportunity with the emergency measure tonight. I welcome this opportunity to stress again my support for that position. I think it is vital. Everything you're saying, I think it is vital. I spoke firsthand of several instances with constituents where I've worked in conjunction with the gentleman in the mayor's office, And I think that we're losing a lot out of that office, and I think it's going to impact some of the things that we're used to coming out of that office. So that concludes my comments.
Okay, Councilor Blair.
We have,
I wanted to go back. I
Councilor
just wanted to
Reynolds,
say, I don't disagree, but I guess I want to stress that I believe that there's a lot of departments that have crucial people that they're losing. And we do have a recreation department head that is now doing 2 major jobs for no additional income, and he's going to be leading 2 huge departments. So, everybody is suffering. So I guess what I'm just saying is that just as we said, as soon as the money maybe ever shows up, sure, we'd like to be able to put that position back in the clerk's office. And I don't think it would be difficult to say the same thing of the mayor's, even though right now I do not believe that position, we have the funding for that position, if that makes, so that's what I'm suggesting.
Councilor Lucian.
I think it's a valid point about
Every department.
covering the departments. I think we're all in agreement. I think we've all said it in numerous times, numerous ways, that indeed, every department's hurting. There's no question about that. My understanding after having a conversation with the administration is part of this position would have been used to cover some of the departments that have some of that staffing shortfall as well.
And you might be right, but, yeah.
Oh, I understand that. No, that's fair. But I think at the same time, we had the opportunity here and now, so that concludes my statement.
Councilor Blair.
we lost the opportunity to vote on that when we didn't accept the preamble. We lost the opportunity.
No. Sorry, again.
Cheers,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
Councilor Blair, the floor.
We lost the opportunity. There was 4 people here, didn't seem it necessary. So we lost that. But the skin in the game didn't work.
No, but I didn't ask for that to be on.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Councilor Blair has the floor.
I'm sorry, the
I'll
skin
recognize you
in
in a
the
moment,
game
Councilor Reynolds,
didn't
okay?
work. That was asked on the floor and it was put in. Go on from that. But I'm just completely discouraged. This money goes back. The money that we cut, you cut, everybody cut, goes back into a holding account. So don't say the money's not there, Sarah. It was in the budget. He felt it was there. If you vote against it, fine. But please, don't throw the fishing line in, and say, when the money comes, we'll put somebody back. We got a balanced budget. Some of it you didn't like, and you managed to cut some of it. But it's too late to change your horses in the middle of the stream. You made your stick by it.
Councilor Reynolds and then Councilor Hall.
So I'll let Ms. Hall go first because she's been waiting.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Hall.
I mean, if I'm hearing things correctly thank you for bringing this back up on the floor, okay? Because I had some clarification that I wanted to make, and I thought I heard Councilor Denley make it clear that he didn't see this as an emergency measure, and he wanted the mayor to bring it down as regular appropriation. To me, that means there is another opportunity to discuss this again, okay? Am I hearing this correct?
Yes.
And as you say, let's leave the position open, excuse me.
On the books.
So I'm hearing things a whole lot different than a lot of people are hearing here tonight, which I am sort of enlightened to hear that, and I appreciate that. I did want to let you know that I do this research, and home on my computer, I happened to look up several cities in Massachusetts and started to pull their staff. I went into the mayor and started to pull their staff, and I have to tell you, almost every mayor had at least a chief of staff. Now, I don't know, and I looked at the duties, and those duties looked very similar to what our constituent services person did. But almost every mayor that I looked up had that. In addition, some of them also had 2 administrative staff, administrative assistants or mayor's assistants and administrative staff. So depending on the wide variety of what I looked at, I have to tell you, I think it does kind of That's why I would have supported it, because I did do some research, and I think that we are not out of line in terms of the staffing that goes on. That's just, what I found out. But again, I am enlightened, and let me leave it on a positive note of what I'm hearing, and it sounds to me that this could be pursued again, but it just won't be pursued on an emergency measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Reynolds.
And so I just agree with that too, that I don't think it's an emergency measure, but I also believe that we're saying the same thing across the city. That if money comes forward, we want teachers back, we want department heads back, we want people that can man the departments. We're talking about everybody. We're saying right now, or I'm saying, I'll take the onus on myself, that we're looking for additional funds that might help the students so that there are not 35 students in each of their classes. To me, that's what the importance is. So I will respectfully disagree, because I would still turn it down if it came down again. I would still turn it down. I'm saying that that I don't see the reason, if we have it in there for the clerks, that we couldn't have it in there for the mayor's department too. And if everybody disagrees with that, and obviously, my colleague does, then fine, say no. I'm just suggesting it. So, but I would still vote it down, because I just don't think this is the time. I don't think we have the money for it at this particular moment in time.
So Council, if I may, Council Reynolds, if I may.
Yes.
There's not an amendment on the floor, but what
you're hearing.
Well, what I'm here, I just want to make sure I hear correct. I just want to add one clarification. As one who sat here that night trying to take notes, and then I had the computer glitch, and then sitting down and watching this twice, which was a real treat. Right? That was the way that it was worded in here, and even when I typed it up and sent it out, I said, this sounds like something that would, that a student council would come up with, not a municipal council, quite frankly. And I really figured that during the discussion tonight, it would be amended, changed in some way, shape, or form, or outright deleted. And although I did want to point out, that line and that discussion, which was actually, we come right down to it, from looking at, I was timing some of the sessions, when I was retyping or adding the parts that I had lost, was actually a fairly short amount of time, but there were no names that were mentioned at that time whatsoever. This comment preceded by at least 24 hours, maybe more like 27 hours, what was brought in, the next night, which at that point there was discussion. It was very clear that there was a particular person that was in mind. But if I'm hearing you correctly, and you kept referencing the clerk, are you suggesting that the line we have in here about the clerk be added in this line? Which says, under the entrance of the clerk, or the entry of the clerk, it says, the council suggests that when the opportunity presents itself that the position which has been eliminated be reinstated. Is it your intent, is that what you're suggesting, we take that line, since you've referenced the clerk at least twice?
Well, similar to that,
and put it in?
when current finances improve is what I'm saying, when current finances improve. And it remains. I mean, I don't think we ever meant for the entire position to be removed. We meant at this time, yes, remove it.
Okay.
That's how I believe it. But, I don't mind. Hey, don't put anything in. I'm good with it.
Okay.
A no amendment.
The previous question.
Second.
Okay, thank you. The motion's in order to move the question. 1 second. Okay. So again, the motion on the floor is to move the question. That means that a yes vote is to move the question, which means then we just move forward. A no is that we continue having debate on the issue. And just a reminder, there's no motion before us right now anyways. Okay? So we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair. A yes vote is to move the question. A no vote is to continue discussion.
Mr. Blair? Yes. I'm sorry?
He said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Hegney?
No.
Vice President Denley?
Yes.
Mrs. Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Delicio?
Yes.
President Cook?
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
The motion passes. Okay. Hold on a second. Move the question. Okay. Are there any other, anything else regarding the budget message? Okay. Hold on a second. Okay, so this vote is on the budget message as amended. Does anybody have any other questions? So yes vote is to approve, a no vote is to reject. Right? We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Oh.
President Cook.
Yes,
10 yeas, 1 nay.
the motion passes.
On the docket of July 19th, 2016, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble, that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to the mayor's request to transfer $4,360.53 from account 11241-000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1121100-51575, Office of the Mayor earned time payment. Due to the time constraints involved in the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter because we are required to compensate employees for their earned time at the time of their departure. As such, we would owe vacation time in the amount of $1,512.72, as well as compensatory time in the amount of $2,847.87.
Second.
Thank you, the motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
We have been discussing a lot this evening. This is for an emergency to the preamble. If it passes, I will save my comments for that time.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Okay. Hearing none. So this vote is on the emergency preamble. Again, it'll be a roll call vote. It needs a 2/3 vote for passage. If it passes, we'll then go on to the main motion. We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
President Cook.
No,
10 yeas, 1 nay.
the motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of July 19th, 2016, I move as an emergency measure to improve the mayor's request to approve. Scrivener's error, please, Mr. President. To approve the mayor's request to transfer $4,360.53 from account 11241-000-57830, citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 11211-000-51573, Office of the Mayor earned time payment.
Is there a second? Who seconded it? Okay, thank you, Council Blair. Thank you.
Council Blair, right?
Second.
Yeah.
I seconded Jay at the same
Okay.
time, Mr. President.
Who do you have down? Steve?
I have Peter down.
That's right, you do. Okay. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
As I said before, the emergency preamble passed. I wish the other motion had passed, which I supported, but we'll see what happens with this one. That's all I have to say.
Are there any other concerns or comments on this? Right. Hearing none. Let's see, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Delicio.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Ms. Ms. Reynolds.
Not yet.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cook.
No.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
The motion passes. Okay. What's that? Anything else?
Thank you. Looks like we will be off for a few weeks.
We have one more emergency measure.
No, it's another committee.
Oh,
So there's other personnel.
I've already had enough, Richard, tonight with papers and amendments and everything else, so please. No, thank you, everybody. I know it's been a little contentious here and there, but as I said to another counselor, I don't take anything personally amongst us, and I hope nobody else does once we walk off the floor. I respect everyone sitting here, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Okay, before you leave, I just need a copy of the vote on that, the last item we just did. I only have one copy of it. I just need a copy of it. Okay. It doesn't have to be signed, I just need a copy. That's all right. At your leisure. Okay. Oh, you hold on, gee, I think you're getting... Council Reynolds.
Okay, reporting for city property and claims from, I have 3 motions. From the docket of July 19th, 2016, President, do I need to read? I just read all of these into
If you just read them, I'll waive the reading.
Okay, so...
Let's read the first part.
I move in accordance with Section 112 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept several generous donations to the City of Attleboro, and they are instruments from the Attleboro High School Instrument Drive, and it also includes 2 cases of paper for Hyman Farm School and additional paper for Thatcher.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
From the docket of June 21st, 2016, I move in accordance with Section 112 of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept a donation of 200 manila 3-tab style folders.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments?
No, I think it's self-explanatory.
Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
From the docket of June 21, 2016, I move in accordance with Section 112 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept a donation of an acrylic painting entitled Stones.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments?
No, there is not.
Are there any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, this matter also requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That is all.
I didn't hear anybody on my right at all. It was all over here, so I was curious.
That is all for city property and claims, President Cook, but I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for Personnel and Human Services from the docket of July 19, 2016. I move to adopt the following emergency preamble that the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro regarding the emergency which presently exists relative to this request to transfer $1,937.14 from account 1124100 578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1146100-515075 Collector Earn Time. Due to the time constraints involved, the nature of the emergency makes it necessary to take action without waiting the prescribed time as provided in the city charter because City Collector Deborah Mercaccio has a staff member retiring as of June 30th, 2016.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, this is very similar to the previous emergency preamble that we just did to fund the retirement of the city collector's position.
Thank you. Any other concerns or comments? Hearing none, again, this first vote will be to declare it an emergency. We need a 2/3 vote for passage. Roll call vote will begin with Mr. Blair.
Mr. Boyer,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Hegney,
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. DeLucio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the motion from the docket of July 19th. I move as an emergency measure to increase,
That should be to approve.
to approve the mayor's request to transfer $1,937.14 from Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to Collector Earn Time.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's in order. Are there any additional comments?
No, there is not.
Does anybody have any concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Mr. DeLucio.
Mr. DeLucio.
Yes.
Ms. Hall.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Boyer.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business for Personnel and Human Services, but we'll call for a committee meeting next fiscal year, right?
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you, President Cook. Reporting for Public Works this evening, we have no business in our committee for tonight, but I would like to call for a meeting at the appropriate time in July.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Blair.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for Public Safety Emergency Manager. I have one motion this evening from the docket of June 21st, 2016. I move to approve the mayor's request to transfer $1,152.61 from account 1240100-511000 protective inspection salary and wages to account 1240100-524230 protective inspection maintenance of vehicles in order to have repairs done to one of the inspector's cars that was involved in a minor accident.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is in order. Are there any comments, please?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Does anybody have any concerns or comments? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Hegney.
Yes.
Vice President Denley.
Yes.
Mrs. Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. Aul.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
President Cook.
Yeah.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Anything else?
I have no other business this evening, Mr. President. We request the committee at the appropriate time next month.
Before I call for adjournment, I just want to remind us of the schedule. We are scheduled to meet in 3 weeks, 3 weeks from tonight, July 19th. There are a number of public hearings we'll be having that night, including one with the planning board on the zoning matter, a couple of other minor ones. We will also be meeting on Thursday night of that week, which is July the 21st. The way the July meetings, for those of you who are new, usually end up going, is by having 2 meetings in the same week. It should minimize the impact that it could have on people taking vacation times. We're able to get things completed and moved along. That meeting on Tuesday night will be a regular meeting in terms of public hearings, et cetera, all the way down the line. The one on Thursday night will be more like tonight, where there may or may not be a communications, but basically we'll open the meeting, or maybe we'll just do the committee, then we'll come back and we'll vote stuff out rather than waiting until August. So that's the schedule. We'll be following the same schedule in August. So anyways, so again, enjoy your time off. Happy 4th of July, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion in order. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Adjourned at 9:21. Thank you very much.